Welcome to the Athlete Insights podcast with host Paul G.
Greetings, everyone. It's Paulie here for another episode of Athlete Insights. And today we're joined by a very, very special guest. It's Julian Pesava. Thanks for joining us, Julian.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Now, you've had an amazing career so far. You're still such a young athlete. And I just want to talk about last season and this season. You've originally, I first met you in the NBL1 West, but then last season you were in the NBL1 South. And I want to ask, what are some things that the NBL1 South, what are some things that they do really, really well?
Yeah, so I think in the South, it's like, the reason for me moving there was it's got a little better exposure.
Yes.
And it's a little, like, if you do well in the South, I think there's more recognition for trying to get into better leagues and elsewhere overseas. So I think like the exposure, there's a lot more teams. I think there's 19 or 20 teams now, even in the South.
Yes.
So maybe the West adding a few more teams. I know that the Hills Raiders are looking to add a team, maybe Crafter as well.
Yes.
But adding a few more teams where I think there's 14 now in the West, getting closer to the same amount as the South have. But still very similar leagues. They're both NBL1. Both have really good athletes. Yeah, I think you mentioned before that they have a lot more NBL guys in the South. Maybe just encouraging as well. Yeah, encouraging NBL players to stay West and play in the West will just like bring up the standard as well.
Absolutely. So obviously having a lot of those NBL and WNBL players in the league, gives it a lot more. And that must have been a great competition for you and whatnot. But now moving on, what's it like returning to play with former teammates like Dion Collins and Jermaine?
Yeah, like it's really good. When I came to Mandurah, I wasn't aware that I thought there was no teammates that I previously played with. I think Jermaine and Dion signed on later in the preseason, so it's always good. Like I played with Jermaine in Joondalup, Dion at Kalgoorlie, and Harry Clostoni as well at in Kalgoorlie. So it's good chemistry on court, off court. Like Harry lives in Mandurah and he's a really good friend of mine, so it's nice moving to a new place and just having that familiar face to hang out with off court as well, even off court chemistry.
And with you and Dion being more mature members in the league, what's it like mentoring the younger athletes and newer athletes out there? And maybe are you able to mention some of those athletes? Because there's been a couple that have made the headlines recently.
Yeah, definitely. Like Jaden Credelli and Lockie's been doing really well as well lately. Yeah, just teaching maybe something that as you're older seems simple to you. Just explaining it to the younger guys, because I remember when I was young playing at Coburn, a lot of the older guys would get frustrated at me that I'm making mistakes that seem obvious to them, but only obvious because it's been over so many years that you've made the same mistake over and over again. I think, just doing a good job of explaining it, but not getting frustrated at some of the mistakes maybe younger players do.
Yeah. Now, moving straight along, you've just returned back from a FIBA 3-on-3 tournament. Can you tell us about the tournament, where it is and who it's for?
Yeah, perfect. So it's run by FIBA, and there's challenges and then world tours. So you generally you go to a challenger, and if you win those, you get an invitation to the world tour, which is the final stop. Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made in those. I think like the competition we went to, that it was 25,000 USD for the winners.
Ooh. And the exposure.
Quite good exposure as well. Like a lot of the teams play 3-on-3 full time. That's becoming quite a big thing in the last couple of years. Or especially like I did one back in like 2016 or 2017 in Penang, and since then I just saw it's elevated and grown. Obviously,
you've competed in a number of local tournaments. Who did you compete with in the FIBA 3-on-3, and can you tell us about your team?
So perfect. We were a low seed in the tournament, so we had to play 2 games initially to qualify, like a qualifying round. We had to beat a Korean team and a Japanese team for the first 2 games. We played really well against Korea and beat them. Japan was quite tough. We ended up winning on the buzzer, I think 21-19. With Elijah. So the team was Elijah. He's a player from the Big V in Melbourne. Marshall Nelson, then Keegan Phillips and myself from Perth.
And so you were playing for a Victorian team, the Sentinels?
Yeah. The Nuttawading Centre. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! So it was essentially a team from Australia representing, us in 3-on-3.
Yeah. It's a guy named Jordan who's bought the team, and you can buy a 3-on-3 team and then participate in all these challenges and then world tours. I think the first one was this one in South Korea, and then it's going all the way until end of the year in December. So hopefully there'll be many more opportunities to go and and travel and play around the world.
Well, we're all rooting and cheering for you and supporting you. And just moving on to the next question now, what are like 2 or 3 habits or maybe routines that you attribute to your success that maybe you could pass on to younger athletes that may want to reach your level?
I think two habits, just in discipline and consistency, that you're disciplined in the foods that you're eating, the amount of sleep you get, you're consistent and disciplined in showing up to practice and work on your game every day. Finding a trainer or someone who can help you learn how to take better care of your body, in terms of in the gym and the stretches and exercises you can do to get the most out of your body.
And avoid injury and, of course, get a long career.
And then just finding the things that work for you. So for me, like what helps me, I like doing cold, or I don't like doing, but I do cold showers always. And I find it really hard in winter, but it's something that like I don't want to do, but I still force myself to do it, and I feel better afterwards for doing so.
Yes.
It gets a little bit more of it, like I have control over my mind, that when the hard times come, you have all of these things that you've done that you didn't want to do. There's not every time I want to come in and work on my game on court, but the consistency that you just show up and get through a workout even on the days that you don't want to.
Now, speaking about all that work, how do you keep a healthy basketball lifestyle balance? Because you also coach.
Yeah.
Just for anyone that doesn't know, you've got a clinic coming up, which we'll talk about in a sec. But how do you maintain that healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's actually quite tough because there's a little more pressure to perform. But I just, when I'm not performing and not enjoying it, I just remind myself that it's meant to be fun, and I shouldn't think about it too much and put the pressure on, that you should be enjoying it. So
it is a passion of yours.
Yeah, definitely. Like I love coaching and I love playing.
I see you spectate at many games. I see you supporting a lot of the young athletes that you coach at their games. So, I mean, really, you relax by more basketball, which I love. You're an amazing member of the community.
Yeah, definitely. Basketball runs my life. It's on my mind all day, every day. But yeah, just to keep, like, I think everything just to keep a healthy mind, like the off court stuff's important, just to maintain friendships, maintain relationships with your family.
Yes.
That when things don't go so well, you have that support off court, and you work on the off court. A lot of times the on court starts to improve because you're just genuinely happy.
That's great advice.
Yeah, I think I heard Jack McVeigh say that. Just you improve the off court and then the on court follows. You improve your life off court. That it's easier to play more relaxed and calmly on court, I think.
I have to agree, because then you're not so much worried on court about your life off court.
Yeah. It's not so big of a deal if you play bad on court, if you can go off court and have that support and enjoy yourself off court.
That's great advice. Now, we're going to finish up very shortly, but before we do, you have another one of your brilliant clinics coming up. Now, for all the young listeners out there, Coach has these brilliant clinics, school holidays, and throughout the season as well. And they work on a range of different skills and techniques, which you can apply in game. And of course, a lot of the habits and routines, which he's spoken about. But tell us about your upcoming clinic, if you can, Coach.
Yeah. So we'll have 4 clinics upcoming in July.
Fantastic.
The first one will be in Mandurah on the 1st of July with Jared, the sharpshooter Jared Molnar. From Mandurah.
Yes.
Then we have one at Lakeside with Saver Chan.
Wow.
I think that's on the 3rd. I'm not sure the dates at the moment. But with Saver, he recently won I think a few years back, he won the NBL1 Golden Gloves.
MVP. Yep.
Yeah. Then I have another one the following week with the Joe Cook Green, who's playing out of Redbacks, and I think he's still leading the whole NBL1 in points in a game at 54.
Yep.
Then the final camp we're doing with CJ. We're teaming up with CJ from Joondalup, old teammate of mine. He's been doing his thing there for quite a while. And then information for the camps, it'll be a lot of intensive skill work. So it's working on footwork and rhythm and everything that makes you move better on court. There'll be a lot of scrimmage and a lot of games with prizes.
Coach Jules, everyone can follow you on your Instagram, your Facebook. You've got the clinic coming up, so everyone can reach out and see the details there. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
No, thank you very much for having me, and I hope to see everyone at the camps in July.
Absolutely, and not just that, you can follow Jules and the Mandurah Magic this weekend in their game versus the Redbacks, and I wish you all the best of the season. Thanks again.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you again.
You've just listened to the Athlete Insights podcast.